All right, all right, all right. It's finally time. Thank you so much for joining. We've got a really good special session here for you today where we are providing an update to charting. We're going to do it over from scratch. We're going to do it today, brand new start of the month. And our charts are getting a little bit too cluttered, so I wanted to provide an update based on some of the learnings in ICT. Some of which I've strayed away from, and I've seen it impact my trading by having too cluttered of charts. So we're going to take a look at this now, and we're going to do it right. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, let's head over to the charts here. You can see overall, this is the typical standard, charts that we had all the time. You can kind of see these higher time frame charts on the monthly. There's just so much here. You can't even read it, right? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start from scratch, and we're only going to chart the stuff that matters. So, are you ready for it? Ooh. Ooh. I hate doing this, but oh gosh. We're going to delete everything. What's this? All right, we're going to delete everything. Gosh. Everything except for that. All right, here we go. Here it goes. Oh my God, I can't undo that. Can't undo that. Ugh. All right, so now we have to do everything again from scratch. So a couple of concepts that we're going to teach today in the charting session is how do you prepare for the month? So we just started a new month in December, and we need to see what we're referring to in the past that could give us an idea of direction as for the upcoming month and potential couple of months. So in order to do this, the first thing that I want to do is use and set up IPDA data ranges. What does that mean? In one of the lessons, and I'm going to give myself a few days of worth of data here. In one of the lessons, you're taught how to handle IPDA data ranges. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, horizontal line. I want a vertical line, and I want to make a straight line all the way through. We're going to make this transparent, but not too transparent. Just enough so that we can still see it here. So I want my IPDA data range. We'll give it a dark magenta, and that will be our core. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for the first day of the month here, December 1st. And I want this to be completely straight. And I want this to give me enough room so I can put some stuff out of the way and kind of count. So IPDA data ranges look at the previous 20, 40, and 60 days. So what I want to do is I want to create something that allows me to provide for 20, 40, and 60 days out, right? So I think there's a measure icon here somewhere. I can't seem to find it. Maybe ruler. So what happens if I go like this far out? What does that mean? 24 days. So let me see if this is accurate or not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It is not accurate because this would be 20 days total. So we can't count on this to give us a full true day. I can see a number of bars is minus 20 up here. So that's sufficient. I think this gives us calendar day. But what I want to use this for is I want to give myself the range of 20 days. And I want to be able to take all of these and kind of, and maybe what I can do is make this a different color. I can make this, let's make this like a gold color. Maybe a peach puff. Let's try that one. Nope, that's not that's not dark enough. We're gonna have to go with like a orange red maybe. Yeah, let's start there. Okay, so we see 20, 40, and 60 days. So we're gonna mark those as our IPDA data range look back. And then likewise, we'll do the same thing forward so that we know where the 20 days mark is for each of these. I'm doing this in Ninja to show you how you can easily, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. How you can easily do the same thing in NinjaTrader if you're using NinjaTrader. Obviously, if you're using something else, you don't really care. You can do it however you want. But this, I now have my 20-day look back and 20-day look forward as well. So now that I have this range, this is the range of data that I want to be charting in, okay? So this is the range where highs, lows are really important, and anything outside of that, really, you're not going to refer to it anytime soon, so all it's going to do is clutter your chart. Who cares, right? So what we want to do now is go back up to the monthly and start here, start fresh, right? So we do care about the monthly because we want to know what it is that we could possibly trade up to, right? So we think top of ranges, bottom of ranges, bearish order blocks that lead a initial move, bullish order blocks that lead the initial move back upwards, key areas of liquidity basically. So what do we want to look at here? Well, the last up close candle before a swing low, we want to mark that one out. The open of this is 16,960. So let's mark that one, 16,960. And I'm going to do something slightly different here now. We're going to go in terms of monthly. We typically have this monthly template of red. Now, what I'm going to start doing now is instead of this, I'm going to start to use buy side liquidity as buy side liquidity blue, and we're going to use sell side liquidity as sell side liquidity red. Or rather, let's assume that this is a monthly low, for example. I'll still use this sell side liquidity as dark red, just because now I know that this is a monthly level. But what I'll do is I'm gonna resave this. Actually, let's make this line more prominent at a 4. And we're going to save this template as sell side liquidity, dark red, 1 month for width. Apply. That might be a little bit too much. Let's see what that looks like. 3 month. Okay, there we go. So let's save over that. 3 width. And then we can get rid of, see if I can get rid of these. For width. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So I want to do the same thing for this. I want to create a template for myself, save it. Let's add this and make this a 3 width. And let's make a template to save as buy side liquidity, blue, 1 month, 3 width. Just so we know what settings are there, okay? And we're going to keep every buy side liquidity as a specific color so that we can see this over time. It doesn't matter if it's monthly. We'll use the labels to tell us whether it's a monthly or, a monthly level, or if it's a weekly level. So we have this 16,960 number, right? So we want to insert a text box here. 1 month minus order block. We know that's a bearish order block here, so we're going to label this as such. And we also want to keep this only on the monthly level for the time being. I'll show you why, because our charts get really cluttered if not. Similarly, we have this as a short-term low. on the other side. So this is a low of 11,098. Now we don't have to worry about this. I was just doing this as an example, but this monthly level isn't nearby, meaning it's not nearby this range. So do we care about it? Yeah, but not in the long term. We just want to know it's there from a institutional flow perspective. We want to mark out the bullish order block here as well. So this up close candle, this is the lowest candle body which starts the move above us. So we want to also mark this out as a open of 12,688.25. And go from there. 12,688.25. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. 1 month bullish order block. Okay, so on the monthly we have, and I guess technically you could also put this short-term high, all-time high really, of 17,491.75. 491.75. And we can label that as well on the monthly chart. You're going to be flipping between these charts quite frequently, and I'll show you that in my coming streams. So 1 month short-term high, and actually this is an intermediate term high. So we're going to mark that as such because there's a lower high, higher high, lower high, followed by a lower high. Let's see, this is high 581. So this is a short-term high here, and this is also a short-term high here. So there's a short-term high, but a higher high there. Similarly, there's an intermediate term low here. We can call this an intermediate term low. So that's a little bit more important. We see that this high is 16,207.75, 16,257.75. So this is actually an important monthly level as well. We can mark this as potentially let's call this 16,257.50. And we can mark this as a 1 month intermediate term high. So that is important because there's a short-term high to its right. There's a short-term high to its left down here. Similarly, on the sell side here, we can see that this order block is here. So we have this short-term low here on the monthly side. So let's mark that as well. And all within the IPDA data range that we marked early on the day. So 14,136.50. And we will have to move the IPDA data range every single month that we see it, as far as my understanding is right now. I am still studying this IPDA data range, so be very aware that it is something that I am very much so still studying. It is a difficult concept to grasp, and I've just now broken the seal on all of that. So, so this is where we're at right now. Let's draw this out over the course of these next few months so that we have this there. So these are our key levels here. I mean, yes, we do have monthly movement here and potentially a monthly fair value gap here remaining. Yes, we certainly do have that, but do we need to mark this? Well, we know that there are short-term lows here, so we know it can gravitate down here. We don't see very much on this side of things, so but we do see that price could come back down into this area, and if it does, well, it could come back down to, we saw that price traded up, traded down into this order block and came back up, right? So we see that price, if it does come back down, we would like to see if it can be stopped by this order block once more, or potentially if it starts to go down here, we need to also have this range considered as a rejection block, a place for price to bounce from. It can go down all the way to the low. It could take out sell stops there, but we'll keep this here for the time being. We can also, on the grand scheme of things, we could also keep this marked out on the monthly. We don't have to right now because we're nowhere near, but as we get closer, we'll add that to the list. Okay, so now we have our rough monthly levels figured out on the monthly chart. So for the time being, I'm gonna keep those in mind. So I'm gonna keep a screenshot of these just so that I can take a look at them on a different screen. And I can keep those levels. I haven't decided if I want to put those across all charts yet because it does get a little bit messy on those charts. So I might want to keep this like this for the time being. And then when I get down to our lower time frame charts, I'll probably start to add a little bit more lipstick there. Typically, I would like to put these across all charts though, now that I think about it, because then they'll show up on my lower time frame charts as well. So we have the range that we're currently dealing in. We have the larger ranges that we're also dealing in from a macro perspective. And once we get above here, that's when we would need to go out a little bit more and see if we would be in uncharted territory if we headed above here. And that's when we would also look for us to return back to a discount there. Not always, but potentially. If we get into a bull run for some reason, then we can start looking for concepts to parlay into. If we do go on a 10-year bull run, we can look for bullish order blocks on the monthly to be supported there. So that's it on the monthly time frame. So let's go to a weekly now. So as you can see here, those monthly levels, they are also moved onto our weekly. So we have those there. We have our weekly levels. Let's remove some of these fibs here. Oh, looks like there's some boxes there that weren't, looks like they weren't removed. Let me make sure I'm not removing any of these. Weekly. So it looks like there are some old weekly lines here. So we're going to remove all of these here. Let me make sure I'm not, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line blue. Let me make sure I didn't remove any key ones from the monthly chart real quick. Okay. And those are on the daily as well. So let's go to the daily. Drawing objects. Need to make sure I didn't remove any of these lines. Okay, looks like I did not. Sorry about this. We need to go back and check and see that we did not remove any of these lines here. There we go. Okay, so these are just on the 1440 minute, and they're just on this chart as well. Interesting. This is a 1440 minute chart, but those are not showing up on that chart. Very odd. I have yet to learn some things about this as well. Okay, so there's still some things I need to learn as to why some of these drawings are not showing up, but for the time being, I want these to show up. They show up on my current chart, and I think it's because I duplicated the charts before. So what I might do is I might also duplicate this chart in a new tab and use this as my fresh daily chart here. Same for the weekly. I'm going to get rid of this one. Close tab. And then we're going to duplicate this tab and use this as our weekly as well. Okay, and then this should be our daily, as we have our IPDA data range there. Good. We can delete this daily chart now. Great. We'll do the same with the 240 day, and then we'll close some of the extra ones that we have too. Okay, so this is the monthly, or sorry, this is the daily. Let's go back to set this as a month time frame. So we see this monthly, we're familiar with it. We're now on a weekly chart here. Okay. So on the weekly chart, we're going to look for the same type of material here, but we're going to label that slightly differently. So we have our monthly levels here. Within this area, this is where we want to look first. And then just slightly outside of it is where we want to look next. Okay. So within the weekly side, we see immediately that we have a body close right around here. So that turns into a weekly bearish order block. In fact, this large body can be the true weekly bearish order block here. So this kind of lines up as well with what we see up there. We draw that out over time. We see how price came up to it, rejected, came up to it again, rejected, wicked above it, but did not close above it. So with that, we're going to take this, we're going to save another template. This one can be saved as a style of 2. I think that's fine. And we will save this as a buy side liquidity, 1 week, 2 width. Typical standard. Okay, so we'll set that here. This open was 16,935.25. 16,935.25. And these are pretty close together, honestly. So I don't know if I want to keep that there, but I think the monthly order block is probably sufficient since it's so close by. I'll remove that for now, but we do see that we've got a weekly imbalance here, up high here. That's outside of this range, so we could reach for that if we break above here. So just in case, we're going to keep this on our charts, and this high is 16,729.75. Okay. And we'll mark this as such. 1 week premium SIBI low. All right, so we'll keep that as a level, knowing there's a monthly level above us. And looking down from there, we see nothing really major here. This whole thing could be a bearish order block as well. On the daily or on the weekly chart, we haven't traded to it, but we can certainly see within this range here, this whole range is that order block. And we see that we have indeed traded below it and have not gotten back up to that order block until here, and we immediately rebalance from there. We got up to it again. So let me get this a little bit more perfect here. So this low was 16,212. What is this high here? 16,207.75. So it couldn't even hit that weekly bearish order block again. It might hit that, but for the time being, we aren't gonna worry about that for the time being. So I might actually set the bearish order block. I might set at the height here, and I'll note that it possibly could head lower here. But we also have a short-term low, a short-term high here. So I don't need to mark the low of that, but I do need to make sure that the beginning of this opening is marked 16530.25. 16530.25. And we want to make sure it's as close to here as possible. 1 week minus OB. So now you can see we start to have 1 month order blocks, 1 week order blocks, and then eventually we'll have our daily levels too. So within the monthly, so now we start to see we have some levels that are above us. If we do go for them, we can know what to reach for, and then we can chart intraday over here as needed, but we don't need it yet. So let's take a look inside of this area. So first things first, let's find the lower part of the week. Let's find the lower side here. From a weekly perspective, actually, let's go back to the monthly real quick. Do we have anything on this that we haven't traded to already? Not really, right? This whole range, we traded down to here, and then we've rocketed back up. So this is some really quick movement where it came back up very, very, very quickly. So we are within this range here. We could expect some consolidation potentially. Even if it headed back down, it would be a consolidation range there. So that being said, there's nothing on the monthly chart that I want to necessarily mark here, since we would consider this to be a bearish order block, but we've traveled past that already, and this could potentially be a bullish order block if we traded back down to it on the monthly. So we can mark that one here now that I think about it. Can certainly mark this as a potential trading range. So this open 14962.25 is of importance. So I missed that monthly. And let's call that 1 month. 1 month bullish order block premium. And that's so that we know that we're still at the height of this range, overall range that we're in. Oops. Overall range from candle to candle. We see that order block's still in quite a premium, so we want to annotate that. And actually, let me leave that on for just a moment, because that can allow us to then say, okay, well, within this range, the short-term low, it's at a premium. We can also mark that ultimately this is our equilibrium point of 13797.25, we'll say. 13797.25. Okay. We do have a template for a mid point, and I think we use this one here. So we want to mark this as a upswing equilibrium point. 1 month upswing equilib. So we're going to mark that as well. So we're done with the monthly here. We have our rough areas of importance on the monthly. We know we've traded up here. We potentially could see this as a rejection block area, and we need to see if price is going to take us lower in the month of December, or if we follow seasonal tendencies and continue higher to this monthly bearish order block up here. Okay, so in a weekly chart, there's a few other chart key levels within this swing, right? So we see that we've come through 4 candles worth up here. We have a bullish order block on the, oops, we didn't mark that, did we? All charts. So we've got a monthly intermediate term high here, and we see some of the same monthly levels up here. We have the monthly bullish order block around the height of this order block here. If we trade to that, it will be an important level. If we trade below that, then this monthly level will be the next draw. Or we could serve this as a bullish order block as well. So on the weekly chart, we have within this range, we have a few short-term highs here that might be of importance and or potential reference. So here is one that's a little bit higher, short-term high, prior intermediate term high. Actually, that's a short-term high there. We might want to mark this out as well. So let's mark that as a high here of 15,856.25. And we've already traded to it on the weekly, but nevertheless, we'll mark it out. 15.8, and this is a 1 week prior short-term high. So we marked these as prior short-term highs because those could be areas where we see mitigation happen. Same way we have here, we'll mark this short-term high as well. This is a high of 15,469.50. And let's mark that out too. All of these could be points in time where we see mitigation if we trade back to them, of course. And then, of course, outside of this range, there's some short-term highs over here, but we'll leave the higher time frame levels to fend for what we potentially could draw to if we reach up there for the time being. So that is on the high side. On the low side, we see that we've already traded to this external one here, so we can mark these here as relative equal lows, right? So let's create our first sell side indication here. And this will have to save this as a 2. We'll save this template as a sell side liquidity 1 week to width. So that we have that template for later. Okay. And this low here is 14,587.25, 14,589.25. We'll go with 14,587.25. And we'll mark that as well. And that's a 1 week prior short-term low. Actually, we'll call it prior relative equal lows. The reason why we mark these out over time so that we know, hey, what could it do if it trades down to here? Is it possible that it rejects and provides a mitigation to the upside? Possibly. But for the time being, we will not know. So this is outside of the range, so we're not going to worry about that for the time being. But these two, we're keeping our eyes on as short-term lows for the weekly. And these short-term highs, since this is just outside, we're going to mark that here. From a weekly perspective, remember, this is our dealing range on the weekly. And if you recall, going back to the monthly, remember that this dealing range here is down here, right? We didn't label this to show up on all charts, but we want it to. So we see this swing equilibrium down here. In case it goes all the way down there, it's available, but we don't really care. You know, these are major levels. That's all we care about. All we care about is within this IPDA data range. So what else is on the weekly? So if we take a Fibonacci from candle low to candle high, we can kind of see that there's a discount fair value gap down there. That's the only one that we really care about on a weekly perspective because price has to trade down into there in order to go somewhere. So here's where I'm going to start to leverage the weekly levels in order to, and actually I might change this a little bit because I can't quite see this very well. So I might make this an orange red. Let me see. Yeah, let's try this out because I just need to find a template that is dark enough. And what we'll do is 1 week we'll do 1 week orange red. Oops. Orange red. Okay, and we can save that template. Good. So we have this as a... Oops, did I mark the wrong one? I did. My bad. This is a 1 month bullish order block. So I think this is a 1 month bullish order block. So we wanted to mark that. What did we mark that? Ah, that was green. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Sorry, I saw the level incorrectly. I thought that I had labeled that, but sometimes these shift a little bit. So again, this open 15. Sorry, this low here is 15,138. We're gonna mark this as a weekly. 15,138. We're gonna mark this as a weekly. 1 week. Discount BISI. Oops. 1 week discount BISI high. Man, I can't type, huh? And we'll do the same down here at this high, 14,950 exact. And this does match up pretty closely with a monthly premium order block, but that's okay. 14,950, 1 week. Discount BISI low. So now we have our weekly levels that we care about drawn out. Now, can it go to one of these premium weekly buy-side imbalances and then completely drive back up? Absolutely. So I think that if it does do that, this starts to give me sense that, hey, if we make a low, maybe in the coming weeks, if we make a short-term low here and we see us trade below that, then we're going to start aiming for this, and I'll look for only shorts, knowing that this is a discount BISI weekly high and low. I will mark this at some point on the charts here, and I actually did mark this as a consequent encroachment there. If you look at ICT's videos, he used an hourly fair value gap and swing graded it, but had he marked the weekly imbalance here, he would have also seen that the consequent encroachment of this is where this exactly traded down to. So I do like to mark these levels since we are close to them. Do we think we'll refer back to them in the coming weeks? Yes, absolutely. I do think that. So what we'll do, and this is where it starts to get a little bit messy, is we'll add that level. Because it's within the IPDA data range, we will add that level here. And mark those as well. So this low was 15,837.50. And this will show up on our lower time frame charts, okay? It'll look a little bit messy. 1 week premium BISI high. And this one is 15,616.25. And we'll mark that as well. 1 week premium BISI low. For the time being, we'll keep that there until we see it trade lower. and then we'll mark the lower fair value gap as our next target. So for the time being, we can leave that there. And that's really it. We have our short-term highs on the weekly perspective. We have our high, like intermediate term highs, intermediate term lows, or short-term lows marked within this 60-day look back and 60-day look forward. We aren't marking this one because it's traded through. So we're going to refer to this one. And we're going to refer to this just because it's just outside, as well as this one because it's just outside and it's a monthly level. So we're going to leave this as part 1 on the weekly charts. And then I think we can go down to the daily. Let me do one thing here because I know I'm typically going live to prep for the market tomorrow. You know what? I will come back. We'll make a part 2. We'll make a part 2 to this, and I'll upload both of them, and then to finish charting micro NASDAQ down to the daily and the lower time frames. We'll make a part 2 to this. I'm going to close this video for now, and then go join the second video in a moment if you want to see the lower time frames from here onwards. But at the very least, you now have your higher time frame charted. You have an idea on the monthly. Hey, look, we have gone down from this rise up. We haven't taken out any of the short-term lows yet, but we are close to potentially taking out a short-term high. By us taking this out and then continuing higher, that's going to tell us something. Or by us taking it out and immediately rejecting, that would also tell us something. So, you know, on a higher time frame where things potentially could go next. Now, we also note that we traded up to this on the monthly and we rejected from there. But currently, we are on our way up, and in the midst of a power of 3, this up candle at the end of the month, it could turn into a big green candle. Is that likely? Could it draw up to this monthly bearish order block since we've been trading up this whole time? Possibly. Could it reject immediately here and head towards this intermediate low? Possibly. We are at a point where we need to see us get out of this area in one way or the other. So I'm going to pause there to go live tonight and to prep for the day tomorrow. Tomorrow's December 8th, 2023. And I will come back and finish recording after I go live and do some market prep for the day. So, yeah, I think that'll be part 1 of charting. So monthly and weekly levels. And I'll finish off with daily and below levels once we get back. So take care. I'll see you on the next video.